So for context, Allison, 26F, and I, 26F, have been friends since middle school, and I think we have been friends for almost 15 years now. We literally used to be attached at the hip and everyone who knew us called us Siamese twins because that's how close we were and that's the way it remained through high school and then, even though we went to different colleges, we still maintained our friendship. In college, she met Derek and after dating for almost 6 years, they finally got engaged at the beginning of this year. I was obviously the most thrilled for them because my best friend was getting married and right after the engagement, she asked me to be her maid of honor and I obviously agreed. I have done all the work that a maid of honor is required to do. I've been with her throughout these past few months and so have her other bridesmaids. She has 4 other bridesmaids, one of them is a coworker, she has another friend from high school called Maria and 2 of her cousins. As well. We used to be part of the same circle in high school, the 3 of us, but Allison and I were obviously closer to each other than to her, but she was still our friend. Anyway, all of us had been really excited about the wedding because we loved Allison and most of all, I loved her. But, 5 days ago, she told me that she needed to speak to me urgently and in person so I decided to meet her at her house. I had thought that it was going to be something better related and it was but just not in the way that I expected it to be. I went over to her place after work, and there, she sat me down and told me that she was going to ask me to step down as the maid of honor. I could literally feel my heart drop. I really thought that she was playing a prank on me so to make sure, I asked her if she was kidding like 3 or 4 times and she had to really convince me that she was genuinely asking me to not be her maid of honor anymore and it was really difficult for me to even understand what was going on at that point of time because none of it made sense. She had been my best friend for 15 years, so why would she not want me at her wedding? After I had calmed down for a bit, I decided to ask her the reason why she was asking me to step down. At first, she was quite hesitant and said that she did not want to hurt me, so she did not want to tell me the real reason, but I told her that I had the right to know because as her friend for the past 15 years, I don't think that it was fair for her to just fire me from the position and then not even tell me the reason. So after a lot of convincing, she finally told me why this was happening and said that one of Derek's friends had agreed to attend the wedding and she wanted to make that friend, let's call her Anna, the maid of honor. She went on to elaborate and told me that this friend of Derek's was somebody he had known since he was a teenager since they used to go to the same high school, and she was loaded. Or rather, her family was loaded and she was just the heir to her father's massive pharmaceutical company. Regardless, she had a lot of money to spare, and she was looking for businesses to invest in, which is something that she had mentioned to Derek a couple of weeks ago. She had been staying in London for the past few months because her grandmother's health was not doing too well and was not sure if she would be able to fly down here to attend the wedding but then, recently, she had told them that she would be attending and they wanted to be close to her and she wanted to establish a friendship with her first so she had decided to make her the maid of honor at her wedding and then, they would approach her with their business idea and try to bring her on board as an investor. She explained to me that I was still her closest and most important friend, but she needed this because she and Derek had seriously been talking about starting a business for a really long time, and if they would be able to get Anna on board, the lives would be sorted because she herself would be equal to maybe 3 or 4 investors, and they wouldn't even need to speak to anybody else. Besides, the experience and expertise that her family brought to the table would also be really valuable. This was not just a wedding for her, but it had also turned into a business opportunity and that's why, in order to establish a good relationship with her, she was going to make her the maid of honor. I was flabbergasted when she told me all of this because it did not make any sense to me. From what I knew, they have not been particularly close at any point of time, even though they have been friends, so it would be really weird for her as well to suddenly be appointed as a maid of honor at a wedding, and I thought it was really insincere and said that I did not think it was going to work. I was just being honest because I did not want her to fall flat on her face while trying to butter Anna up. She told me that she had already asked Anna and she had agreed and was very excited about all of this because she had never been the maid of honor anywhere before. She was quite unassuming and was not able to see the insincerity of this gesture, so Allison was not worried about her figuring out why exactly she had done this and said that, even if Anna was able to figure out that she had only been a maid of honor because they wanted her to invest in their business, she was not too worried about it because she did not think Anna would mind. After that discussion, I realized that she had already spoken to Anna, and she was just informing me, so I did not have much to do apart from just accepting what she had told me. And I was not going to beg her to reinstate me as maid of honor anyway, that would just be going too low and at the end of the day, it was her loss and not mine. I did not say much to her, I just told her that I hoped that things worked out for her because I was really pissed and upset and then, I got up and left. She could see that I was really upset, but she did not even try to stop me and I just walked out and went back home and once I got home, I finally cried myself to sleep because I was so let down by what had happened. When I woke up from my nap at around midnight, I saw that Allison had removed me from all the group texts and that broke my heart even more. But I also noticed that Maria had reached out to me and had asked why I had stepped down as maid of honor. I didn't understand what she was talking about, so I decided to text her back and ask her what she was talking about. She said that after removing me from the group, Allison had sent a message to the group saying that I had decided to step down as maid of honor because apparently, I was too busy with work and it would not be possible for me to commit my time to the wedding like I had planned on before. She had insisted that there was no bad blood between us and everything was fine and that I would be getting replaced by another friend of hers, referring to Anna, whom she had added to the group after that. Maria told me that everybody had a lot of questions, but since she was the one who was the closest to me, she had decided to reach out to me personally and ask me what was going on because it seemed very unlikely that I would just suddenly decided that I was not going to be part of the wedding and act like this. It seemed out of character for me since I had been so excited for the wedding and had perhaps devoted the most time to it out of everybody in the group. I was really overwhelmed, so I called her and I vented about the entire situation to her. I was really heartbroken and disappointed at that point in time, so I didn't particularly care about the consequences of what I was doing. Before that, I had never spoken about Allison behind her back because I really valued our friendship. But that day, I was very upset, so I told Maria everything and I also let her know that while I did not hate Allison for what she had done, I was very upset with her and was even more upset that she had chosen to lie about the situation instead of just being truthful. So I had made up my mind that I was not going to attend the wedding anymore and she had my blessings and I wished her nothing but the best, but I was not going to be present there because what had happened was just humiliating. After hearing me out, Maria consoled me and told me that it was going to be fine. She did not take Allison's side, and in fact, even expressed that she was just as disappointed as me, now that she knew the truth. After speaking to me for a bit and calming me down, since I had started crying again, she hung up and that was it. The next day, I took a day off of work and decided to spend it at home, because I really felt annoyed and upset with everything. I did not think that there was going to be any drama, but I was wrong because, towards the afternoon, I received a call from Allison, but I was not in the mood to speak to her, so I did not answer and decided to go to the gym to distract myself. The gym that I go to usually is literally just a 10-minute walk from my house, so I left my phone at home and I went there because I did not want to speak to anybody. After about 1 hour, when I returned from the gym, I finally checked my phone and I realized that Allison had called me 25 more times after I had not responded to the first phone call. And she also left me a lot of texts, none of which were very nice. All of them were accusing me of trying to sabotage her wedding and being a total drama queen and attention seeker. She called me a crybaby and said that I had no reason to talk to Maria about what had happened since the discussion that we had was meant to be private, which is why she had called me and talked to me in person instead of just letting it all out in the group. She told me that she had to replace me and do this since she always expressed an interest in having her own business and this was a huge opportunity for her. She was just trying to make the best of the situation, but apparently, I was taking it personally for no reason. I had no idea what had happened and why she was speaking to me that way. Because even if I had talked to Maria about it, it was not like that had hurt her in any way. Also, I had thought at that point. Instead of responding to her, I decided to speak to Maria instead. Because Allison seemed to be in a real mood in the way she had spoken to me in those texts, I did not like her tone, and I did not want to interact with her in my mental state. So I called Maria and then, it was she who told me what actually happened after our conversation last night. She already mentioned that everybody had been curious about what actually happened between the two of us and that I was no longer maid of honor, but since they could not speak in the group because of Allison and Anna, she had reached out to everybody personally and told them the truth. And now that everybody knew the truth, every single one of her bridesmaids, including her cousins, had decided to step down because they felt like what had happened with me was not right. All of them agreed that I had devoted a lot of time to the wedding, and I had been there with Allison every step of the way. So I deserved to be treated with more respect and she couldn't just inform me one day that I was no longer the maid of honor, and then expect everyone to be fine with it. Also, all of the bridesmaids had spent a lot of time together in the past few months, so they had developed a sort of friendship with me as well. Allison's cousins had already known me since we were kids because we had been friends for so long and I had been invited to all of her family's events, so they already knew me, and Maria was also my friend right from the beginning. And in the past few months, I managed to get close to her coworker as well, and all of them really liked me. So they made a separate group with Allison and told her that they wanted her to reinstate me as maid of honor and make things right. If she wanted to, she could have 2 maids of honor. She had tried to communicate to Allison that what she had done was quite insulting to me and that it was not fair in the slightest, but instead of accepting that, she started getting defensive and said that she was doing this for her future and that they were the ones who needed to be a little more understanding of her situation. They even brought up a really good point, that if Anna was such a good friend to Derek, then she would not need them to butter her up and flatter her insincerely, by making her the maid of honor when she knew she wasn't even that close to them. She would just invest in their business because she had faith in them and was a good friend, but she refused to take any of that into account and said that this was none of their business, so they don't need to involve themselves in this. That's when the other bridesmaids said that if this was the way she was going to act with the rest of them, then they had no interest in being part of the wedding either, and all of them backed out and even left the group texts. That was what got her all riled up, and then she started calling me and blaming me for all of this instead of just realizing that it was her behavior that was alienating everybody. Now it's been a few days since that happened and I haven't blocked her anywhere yet because she used to be a really close friend of mine, and even though right now, things are not going well between us, I still can't bring myself to just cut her out of my life. But apparently, she has been going around and telling everyone that I am to blame for this situation that she is in right now. She has also sent a lot of messages to all the other bridesmaids who backed out of the wedding after that conversation that they had, and has been trying to convince them that what she has done is no big deal, even though it's a pretty big deal to me. She has been texting me every day, trying to convince me that what had happened was not something that I needed to take so personally. I haven't replied to any of the messages, even though she has been trying really hard to tell me that if I forgive her, the other bridesmaids will do so too, so I need to be the one to take the first step. She keeps bringing up how we have been friends for 15 years and I can't just throw away this friendship because of something so petty, and that I should be the one to understand that this is something that she needs to do for her future ambitions, and it's not personal. Like, honestly, I get that, but just the way that she's dealing with things makes me feel annoyed, and also can't just accept the fact that she chose to lie about what happened instead of just being honest. This is not the Allison that I know, and I feel like she's going to insane levels to justify herself, instead of just acknowledging her mistakes and being sorry for it. She's putting me in a really difficult spot and I don't understand what to do. So Ida for refusing to attend my best friend's wedding after she replaced me with her rich friend as maid of honor at the very last moment? Update 1. Hey, so I went through the comments and I realized that this is just such a petty high school drama. I can't believe it took me so long to come to that conclusion, but honestly, that's what it is. And I don't need to apologize to Allison or blame myself for any of this because she brought this on herself. It was incredibly difficult, but with everything that has happened, I decided that it was for the best for me to just block her and get on with my life. Yes, we have been friends for the past 15 years and our friendship meant a lot to me. It still does, and if she reaches out to me and apologizes from the bottom of her heart, with sincerity and genuineness, I might even be able to bring myself to forgive her and try to reconnect with her, but right now, I'm not in the right headspace for that. I can't bring myself to be receptive to anything that she is saying right now, especially how she's trying to pretend like I should not care about any of this, even though she knows that I'm really disappointed in her. She has said everything in the world, except for one simple word, sorry. If she had said that she was even just once, I would have considered her stand, but until then, I can't help it. I've spoken to the other bridesmaids as well, and they said that she has been acting the same way with them, trying to text them and explain to them that she's not wrong here. I cannot understand how it's so difficult for her to just acknowledge her mistakes. But anyway, like I said, it's her loss and not ours. I feel really bad for her since this is happening with just maybe 3 or 4 weeks to go until the wedding, and this is really the wrong time. However, she has nobody else to blame but herself, and she can continue to pretend that we are the ones at fault for sabotaging her wedding or whatever, but it's not going to change the truth. I'm just thankful that I still have people on my side. So far, Maria had been the only person directly in touch with me, but a couple of days back, even the others got in touch with me and told me that they knew exactly how close I was to Allison and they were really disappointed in the way that she was acting as well. So I've been speaking to all of them and genuinely not trying to gain sympathy or whatever, but it's nice to have people to talk to, especially when you feel so betrayed by the one person that you thought you could always trust. I can't talk to my parents about this exactly either because my parents are really good friends with her parents as well, and even though that's because of us, I don't want them to get involved and create more drama. So I'm trying to keep this to myself, and the people who already know, for now. Even though she did not extend the same courtesy to me and went around, telling our other friends from school that I was the one trying to be an attention seeker and a drama queen. Most of them, however, reached out to me and told me about it since they were really surprised that this was happening. They were aware of the context, thankfully, so they took my side here. It just hurts that she's going around talking about me, even though I'm not doing that to her, but I have all the reasons to do so. I just feel bad. Our friendship means the world to me and it sucks that this is happening right now. Update 2. Hey, so in my last update I mentioned that I hadn't been able to talk to my parents because I did not want them to get involved and drag them into the ongoing drama. But unfortunately, Allison was not thinking along the same lines and decided to complain to her parents. Now, there are just 2 weeks to go for the wedding and I guess she was getting desperate to fix everything, so she decided to tell her parents about what was going on, and they then proceeded to call my parents and talk to them about what was happening. So naturally, my parents called me and asked me what was happening, so I explained my side of things to them. And apparently, Allison had told her parents something completely different. She claimed that I had apparently offered to step aside as maid of honor so she could make Anna the maid of honor, and that would help her become better friends with her and sort out the investment. But now, all of a sudden, I was going back on my words and pretending like she was the one who had forced me to step down. Due to all of this, she was no longer on good terms with any of the other girls either, and she was scared that she would not have any bridesmaids or friends at the wedding. So that's why she had asked her parents to speak to my parents, and after I told them my side, I also told them not to get involved because this was something between me and Allison and I did not want them to ruin their friendship with her parents because of this. This happened 2 days ago, and after I spoke to my parents, they promised me that they would sort things out with her parents and let it go. So yesterday, they called me up again and told me that they had spoken to Allison's parents and told them what happened. I was lucky that I had evidence since I had screenshots that would prove me right, and they had sent those screenshots to her as well, and Allison's parents were no longer speaking to her and insisted that she make things right with me. I have blocked her, so she can't exactly get through to me, but she texted Maria and said that it was really messed up for me to try and ruin her wedding because there was no need for me to involve our parents in this, since now, even her parents are not speaking to her. I seriously don't understand how I am the one to blame for this, because I did not tell my parents, she was the one who did, and it backfired. All because she lied about what actually happened, and I don't even understand how she expected to get away with it, because she knew that we had proof, and it was quite silly of her to expect that I was not going to share my side of the story and just let her lie about me and make me the bad guy here. I'm getting sick of having to take the blame for all of this, and I've decided that I'm going to unblock her and speak to her and sort things out, once and for all. Just because she's getting married in 2 weeks does not mean that she gets a free pass for her terrible behavior. Update 3. So, I know you guys have been waiting for this update for quite some time. I'm sorry, but I kind of forgot to post this last night, after I had the conversation, so I'm posting this 2 days after the phone call. I called Allison up to confront her, and the second that I called her, she answered and immediately started yelling at me. We had had fights before. It's not like we have always had a very smooth friendship, but nothing of the thought has ever happened in the past. She told me that I was making things very difficult for her and that I was being very selfish, not even trying to understand that she was doing all of this to secure her future and the investment that would come along with her relationship with Anna. I heard her out because I did not want to argue with her and get into a shouting match, because she has always been the more outspoken and louder of the two of us. So I let her get it all out of her system, even though I had heard it all 1,000 times before. She just kept repeating the same things again and again, so I didn't think anything was going to happen this time, but then she chose to tell me that I was the one who was responsible for our friendship turning into something so ugly right now. I did not like that, so I told her that she had no right to say that to me, especially when that day, at her house, after she told me that she had replaced me as the maid of honor, she had seen that I was upset, but she did not even try to comfort me. I told her that if we swapped our places, I would never treat her the same way, and honestly, I would never even replace her the way she did to me. And after that, I would not expect her to understand and let it go. She tried to interrupt me and argue with me, but I told her to keep her mouth shut, because I had tried to avoid this sort of confrontation in the weeks leading up to her wedding, because I genuinely cared for her and I did not want her to get upset because of me. But she had made it very obvious to me that she did not feel the same way, and right now, all she cared about was herself. She really couldn't even see anybody's feelings apart from her own, which is why all she cared about was Anna and that investment. I told her that even her parents were against her at this point in time, so she should really reevaluate what she was doing with her life. I know her parents really love her, and even though they were refusing to speak to her, it meant what she was doing was seriously messed up. And after all the lies that she had come up with, it was very difficult for me to look at her the same way. I told her that all that I needed from her was a heartfelt apology, but she couldn't even give me that. After 15 years of being friends with me, she proved that it meant nothing to her. I was crying by that point because it was a really difficult conversation for me to have with her, and when I said that she had proven that our friendship did not mean anything to her, even she started crying, and she confessed that she had just been really stressed out because Derek had been hounding her to do all of this. That took me by surprise, and she went on to tell me that she was really hurt by my statement, especially because she knew that it was not even my fault that I was saying this, because she had been acting this way for a long time now. She then apologized to her and said that she had no intention of hurting me, but it was Derek who had forced her to replace me as maid of honor in the first place, because he felt that it would improve their chances of getting an investment out of Anna, which is why she had done all of this. And in order to cover up what she had done, she kept lying and lying, and that was what led to our friendship getting ruined. When I learned that he was behind all of this, I tried to calm her down because she was absolutely hysterical on the phone, and when I couldn't do that, I decided to drive to her house, and that's when we finally cleared the air between the two of us. She confessed to me that she had been put under a lot of pressure by Derek, but she did not want to talk to anybody about it because she was getting married to him, and even though she knew that he was being a little too weird about all of this, she did not want to bring it up and make it a big deal. She knew that we would tell her to leave him if she came clean to us, so she just kept lying, and now, she was in a place where Derek was controlling every aspect of her life, and this was apparently not even something new. This had been going on since the engagement, and none of us had a clue because she had been hiding it so well, but now, she had finally broken down mentally. So I did the needful. I stayed with her until Derek came back home that day, and then, I forced her to break off their engagement. There were just a couple of days to go for the wedding, so this was a pretty difficult decision to make, but it was the right thing to do. In the meantime, Allison and I had a really long talk, and she apologized for everything that she had done because she had completely lost her head and was doing her best to just please Derek and had stopped caring about anything else. So we had a heart-to-heart discussion and cleared the air, and even though things are not back to normal, we are going to try and be there for her right now, because I know she's dealing with something very difficult right now. After she broke up with Derek, he got into a huge fight with her and called her a lot of names, and I saw a side of his that I had never seen before, after which she had another breakdown. So I ended up spending the night with her, and after 2 days of being with her, I'm finally back home now. I have communicated this with the other bridesmaids as well, so we all know that we have to be there for her, and right now, we are just trying our best to make her feel better. I'm willing to put everything in the past because Allison is like a sister to me, and knowing that she was not doing this of her own accord and was just trying to please a controlling partner, it makes me feel better because I know that she's not really the person that she had turned into recently. I'm going to be there for her, and I hope that everything works out in the future.